individual challenges to work with. And one of those sports that had an individual challenge here or there with a scheduling wrinkle or two was Viking volleyball. So Michelle Meiklejohn is our guest today. Michelle's the head coach of Viking volleyball, and she joins us today to kind of give us a rundown of some of the challenges of getting into a new frontier that her team is going through at this point. And Michelle, I'm sure when you came to Valley City State, I think you knew at that point that something could be happening as far as potential here or there, but I'm not sure if you knew just how aggressive it was going to be. So, was it everything you expected when you found out about the frontier and began to look into the logistics of getting a team out to Montana on a regular basis and being there, I guess, for maybe 2 weeks at a time and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think the options that were presented, I think this is the lesser of the two evils. I don't know if there are two of them, but I think yes, travel will be just the rigor of it will be something that we need to figure out. But with volleyball, I think there's not necessarily with all the other sports, but being able to play two matches in a day, like looking into the future, I don't know if this schedule is what we will always utilize.
Well, let's talk a little bit about then what that schedule looks like, because obviously you had said this might not be the schedule that you go with forever, but it's the schedule that you have for now. And if I did get my math correct, there is one spot in the schedule coming up where you're going to go to Montana and play for a weekend and maybe stay there a while and maybe play for another weekend before you come home. I mean, there's a lot of wrinkles in this one that went a lot of different directions.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out a way that we didn't have to go because um, us and our travel partner have to, the way the schedule worked out, we have back to back Montana weekend. So we were trying to figure out what was the best option and what will be the best for our athletes and personally for me. But to drive all the way out to Montana and back, Friday, Saturday, 2 weekends in a row is just I just think will be take a toll on everyone, and, so we tried to move up our last games, and we play Friday, Saturday, we'll be off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then we'll play Wednesday, Thursday, and hopefully, we'll do a lot of study tables, a lot of the girls will have to go to class, um, but we'll have to practice but we will spend 10 days out in Montana and see how it works. And if we love it, and it stays that way, maybe we'll keep that big long trip. But we were in Florida this last preseason. We went to Florida for 8 days. So, I mean, trying to find the positives in everything. And my girls are really excited. They all love to spend time together. So it will be um, a good experience for everyone.
I mean, I know it doesn't speak to the wins and losses of the situation, Michelle, but let's face it, when we get done with our collegiate careers and you're looking to give your players something that was memorable, being out in Montana for 10 days together, going to school together, kind of having that experience, it's unique enough to where you'd say, yeah, that's what we're looking forward to out of being a college athlete, right?
Yes. Uh, Yeah, I don't ever have to tell them or make them spend time together, so, they love bus rides too, they all have, their setups with their phones, and so travel is something that we're used to, it just will be look a little different. Usually, we're going to Iowa and Nebraska in the preseason, and we don't have as many preseason tournaments anymore. We just have a lot more travel during the year, which will be just a little different. So, but we have a lot of home games, so that is also a positive too. Just trying to find the positives in everything, and being in a really competitive conference will also be is really exciting for us. So,
Yeah, we're going to talk about the competitive level of that conference coming up in just a little bit, but take us through maybe some of the changes in the non-conference schedule that you had because of the incorporation of some extra conference matches, I suppose. It might have limited what you could do with a non-conference schedule.
yes. So, in volleyball, we go by dates, so we don't have like restrictions like other sports do. So I can play two matches in one date, if that makes sense. But we have 26 dates that I can play as many matches as I want. Some institutions play lots. Like I think last year, what did we play? Like 32 games. But like preseason tournaments, you would play maybe two or three sometimes matches in a day. I typically like to do two. And we only have one preseason tournament, and typically we would have three. So we only have four non-conference games at that tournament, and typically we would have 12. So it's just a little different. We'll go to playing one opponent a day in conference, which is, I don't know. It will be good. We'll get lots of rest. But yeah, at tournaments, you typically play two opponents in one day, four in one weekend, and we won't quite get that, but that's okay. It'll be a little different look. So
Well, different looks definitely going to happen when you join a new conference. Now, let's talk about different competitive level. I know that if memory serves, when we ended up in Sioux City a couple of years ago, there was a team from this league in our pool. I think we got a chance to see one right away, and it seemed like there was a pretty competitive level of volleyball that they brought with them to the national tournament. So tell us a bit about what the Frontier brings to volleyball and what its competitive level is.
yeah, they have a long tradition of being a really competitive conference. This last year, it was Montana Tech that was in our pool. Um, and I wrote it down because I did not want to forget. But three of their teams, like I had it pulled up, they finished, Montana Western finished number 8. Um, and then there was number 21 and number 10, I believe. University of Providence was 10, and then Montana Tech was number 21. So that's three teams in the top 25. And then on our side, Bellevue finished number 2, and Dakota State was just below the top 25. So um, putting us together, the North Star with the Frontier together, um, makes for a really competitive conference all around, both the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. So that's pretty nice, I guess, and also scary, I guess. You have to show. I feel like in the North Star, we always had to show up every night and um, not play our best, but bring everything we had. And this is even like to the next level. So it'll be interesting.
Well, if I remember right, looking at that team that we played in the national tournament a couple of years ago and trying to gauge kind of where they were, conferences sometimes take on identities. You get the best athletes that you can, but coaches have preferences as to what they like to see on their team. And it seemed like those schools in Montana that are now in our league, they preferred size, big physical players compared to some of the teams that we saw from maybe down south that preferred some speed or a little bit more versatility. It seemed like those Montana schools really wanted to be sizey. Did you get the same impression when you saw them?
Yeah, specifically the team that we played, their setter was probably 6'1", 6 foot, 6'1", so taller than your average setter. And in the NAI with the unlimited subs, you often see uh, opponents run a 6'2" with two setters, and you can have a little shorter setter, but their setter was offensive, very active, and that's the same thing. Like University of Providence had a really good setter. She was an All-American. They run a 5'1" with her. Um, just she was a super offensive setter. Um, Kind of comparable to us, I guess, with Sadie. Trying to think of, yeah, and even I spoke about the top teams, but Carroll and Rocky were in the top 25 in receiving votes at one point. Same thing with um, well, we were receiving votes at the beginning of the year, so it's just, yeah, it'll be really competitive, and I'm really excited for that and for my players to see that every night.
You know, you mentioned some systems, and that brings us to an opportunity to start talking about yours because for the last few years, you've been pretty comfortable in a 5-1 because you're one with Sadie Hansen. Every player's got to graduate at some point, coach. They don't get to stay forever. Sadie Hansen had to do that. So now we start taking a look ahead and tell us where you start building that position out for the Vikings coming up in 2025. And should we expect a change in system for the Vikings?
Yeah, put a question mark behind that. I feel like we've kind of been developing with Sadie Hansen. I mean, I know she was our starting setter, but she's also been super important in developing not only our hitters and other players, but the setters that were behind her. So I'm really excited for Gracie, who sat behind Sadie for 2 years, who actually we changed into a defensive player. I'm really excited for her to be able to show us what she can do set in that setting role. And I don't know, offensively, I have lots of we've developed some offense, and with the senior class that we have, we could potentially run a 6-2. I have no idea what will happen, and I'm just excited for um, what we have coming in and all the talent that we've kind of built up in this off season. But Sadie's done a really good job of, like I said, developing Gracie as a person and a player, and I'm really excited because Sadie, she isn't leaving. She's going to be our graduate assistant. So that will be really helpful. And then we have two other setters coming in that um, have potential. I don't know where anybody will be at this point, but personnel wise, you could maybe see us in a 6-2 in the fall,
It'd be a
but
little
we'll see.
different for Viking fans to see that system be played out. But did you mention that the NAIA has unlimited substitutions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you
So
can get away with playing a 6-2 without having to worry about the substitution board.
exactly. Yeah. And um, yeah, that's all I'll say on that.
Well, hey, it'll give us some time to think about it getting ready. You mentioned some talent coming in, though, and I think you and I had talked about a couple of hitters that are coming to join, hopefully healthy. Danielle Hagler, Morgan Freege, some players that you've had around for a while. And if you've got some talent coming in to join them, you could have some pretty solid offensive options. Some of the recruiting names that you picked up during the offseason, maybe you could highlight those.
Yes. I have Madden Bogenreif. She's from Moorhead High School. She's actually playing softball as well. She's a setter. Kiana Hillary. She is a setter from Elk River, Minnesota. And then I have a lot of offensive pieces. Ann Mugley is from Oaks, North Dakota. Molly Bjornaby. Um, she is actually playing in the All Star game today and tomorrow, and she is the first ever Grafton High School volleyball athlete to get selected for the Optimist All Star game. So that was really exciting. She's an outside hitter. Libby Mathern is from Edgeley, North Dakota. Anna Roysum is from Pelican Rapids, and Annika Poyo is from Sabika, Minnesota, and she's a defensive specialist. So I have quite a bit of offense, a couple of setters, and a DS to join the mix. So I'm really
Outstanding.
excited about them.
Good recruiting class. And I think last year, and I'm not sure what year of school she was in, but Rosie Anderson made some really nice contributions coming in a full time role in volleyball. Does she return for you this year?
Yes, she potentially she'll either be a junior or a senior. She has another year of eligibility for volleyball since she was on the basketball team for those first 2 years. But she's done a really nice job on the right side. She got a huge opportunity last year, and she just took it and ran with it. And I'm really proud of her for that. But she's developed so much in such a little short amount of time on the volleyball court, and I've really enjoyed working with her. She will be a in, integral part of our offense and our block. So yeah, she's a nice
Looking
addition for
forward.
us.
Looking forward to seeing what she can do for another year of full time volleyball, which will be great for her development. Let's wrap up with this. When you were out recruiting, you had that great year of going to the Nationals, being inside the top 25, a name for yourself the last couple of years. Did that start to help on the recruiting trail for Viking volleyball?
Yes. And it's really been, I say easy, but um, the people that are in my program and that have built this program up, players like Sadie Hansen, players like Morgan Pridgey, Danny Hagler, JC Richter, um, their personalities are big and they want to win, and people want to be a part of that. And yes, winning has helped us get some good recruits and develop some of our offense and things like that. But I feel like the people that they are and the not only like the student athletes that they are. It's attractive to people and it has helped in the recruiting process for sure.
Well, I'm looking forward to the season, Michelle, and it sounds like you might be as well. Little bit of the unknown, but I think you sound generally optimistic. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I would say that.
All right, sounds great. Michelle, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Michelle Meiklejohn joining us today for another edition of Into a New Frontier for the Vikings. Another edition will come to you next week. We'll continue to highlight some Viking sports, so do stay with us. And always, we'll catch up with Dennis McCulloch throughout the course to let us know what some of the new developments are in the new league. Thanks for joining us for today's edition of Into a New Frontier.